Today's podcast is sponsored by King's Cleaning Solutions. King's offers carpet cleaning, tile and grout cleaning, upholstery cleaning, natural stone maintenance, area rug cleaning, and hardwood floor cleaning in Kokomo and its surrounding areas. Contact them today for all of your cleaning needs.
Welcome to another edition of The Lamp. This is the Kokomo Lantern's weekly news and views podcast. I'm Pat Munsey, the publisher of the Kokomo Lantern, and today I have with me Cheryl Graham, the Grand Poobah, our operations manager at United Way serving Howard and Tipton counties. Thank you for joining me today, Cheryl.
Thanks for having me, Pat. It's a pleasure.
Yes, we've known each other a few years.
Just a few.
I knew her before she was United Way.
Oh man, that's a long. That was when I was 12, right, Pat?
Well, yeah, because
I'm only 30 now.
I was only 6. So
yeah, I'm only 30.
Right. Oh man, how did I make it this far at 24? I'm not sure.
I know.
I'm bad at math. That's how that
That's
works.
it.
Anyway, I've brought Cheryl on today because we're going to talk about one of the United Way's most valuable services that it provides, and that is information and referral. And basically, they maintain a phone number where anyone can call who is in need of service or assistance in a wide range of subjects. And if they can't give it to you directly, they'll put you in contact with someone who can.
Exactly how it works.
What turned me on to this initially is, as a disclaimer, I am on the United Way Board of Directors, and we received an annual report from Information Referral that showed us what the most acute needs in the community currently are. And in the past, it had been things like transportation and food, but housing is now the most acute need in Howard County and Tipton County that we're trying to meet. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, and just for context, it's not just a Kokomo problem.
Okay.
This is a national problem that we're having. There's just a lot of people say COVID, but I think that kind of has passed. All of the help that people used to get during COVID is no longer available. But I think most of it is just life circumstances that are keeping people from connecting to housing. The barriers to getting to that house. Sure, it's money, but what if you have a history, you got evicted because you got sick and didn't pay your rent, and that will forever show up on your record.
Oh.
So when you apply and you've spent $50 for that application and they see some sort of a negative history like that, it's over. I mean, they're not going to consider you. So a lot of the people that are having trouble have some sort. I mean, we all have a history, don't we, Pat? I mean,
let's not talk about that.
But that's what I'm saying. It's just been life. Things have happened, and you can't make those go away.
Right.
And so there's not enough housing for everybody. So the people that have the housing available are just saying, I'm just going to cut it off here. So that just leaves this whole group of people that can't access housing.
Right, but you do have landlords that serve that, and that's where INR comes in, is that if I'm looking for that housing on my own, I may not know who to turn to, who does take someone who just got out of jail and doesn't have ID and doesn't have a pay history of any note.
Well, and it's usually not, like you just said, there's usually 3 or 4 reasons. It's never just one thing, right?
Gotcha.
So that's where we work on the barrier. Okay, so I can't convince a landlord to take you, but I can work on your record. I can work on getting you a license. I can work on getting you a birth certificate. I can get all that in order, and then those barriers kind of go away.
Right.
And then you can access it. So we're not like jumping over anything, but we're just putting people in line. You can't get a job if you don't have an ID. You can't get an ID if you don't have a birth certificate. So we start at those very basic barriers that just keep, you can't get assistance, you can't get a house. Think of all the things you couldn't do if you didn't have your ID.
Right.
A lot of people just they don't think past driving. They're not worried about driving a car. They're worried about getting a job. They're worried about getting assistance for their kids. And, there's just so many things nowadays that you need an ID for. So we do a lot of ID.
It sounds like it might be the most important service that you provide.
Trying to get there,
but it's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes right down to it. Once you've got that out of the way, then you can address all these needs that follow.
Exactly. And a lot of them we start with basic needs because and we talk to people about budgeting as well, because sometimes when you're in that crisis, you can't really think outside the box.
Right.
So while I may not be able to pay all your rent, let's talk about how I might be able, and you have money, you just don't have enough. I mean, that's the situation usually, right? You've got money, you just don't have enough to do it. So let's talk about resources that you can get. Like, instead of spending $60 a week on food, let's look at food pantries and go there, and then just go to the grocery store for the few things that make that work for you. So that cuts that budget. That allows you to move that money over to your utilities or over to your rent. You see what I'm saying?
Sure, or prescription medications.
Yeah, and we have a lot of people where they don't have enough money to meet their basic needs, and this happens every month. Okay, your income doesn't go up every month, right?
No,
so it's
no.
over a course of time. Right. And what we know is if we take these families that are struggling, just don't have enough money, that's the biggest issue, right? They're robbing Peter to pay Paul, and it's caught up with them.
Right.
Something had to go. So if we can connect them to resources that are readily available and let them keep their money to pay the things we can't help them with and help them to restructure how they spend their money, then we know that if we connect them to all the resources that are available, it'll take them about 2 years to work out of that bubble. They'll get more education. They'll get a better job. They're, just like me. I mean, did we forget we were there? I mean, when I started, I had all kinds. I couldn't have the things that I wanted, but I had to have time to be able to do that. So if you've got a bunch of kids and you don't have enough money, you're just struggling to pay what you need today. You can't go forward. You need time.
And this, we're not talking about the preconceptions that a lot of people have on their fellow humans who happen to be in the situations. Oh, they were there because they didn't concentrate on their schoolwork when they were in high school, or they're drug addicts, or they're welfare moms.
Oh,
you hear
yeah.
all the misconceptions about the people who are being served and the people who are in need. But we're talking about elderly people on fixed incomes. We're talking about people who have serious medical conditions that outstrip anybody's ability to pay. We're talking about people who just lose their job. And they've got
just cutting their hours.
Right.
I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
but if your hours got
Losing
cut in
a
half.
shift. Yeah.
Today, a lady walked in and was like, I don't think that's right. So she's calling us and saying, what do I do now? The other thing is we have a tendency to put off decisions we don't like.
Oh, sure.
Because we always like, why do they wait till the last minute? It's because we work so hard and we try so hard and we appreciate the things that we work for. We don't want to go backwards.
Right.
And so we'll just try to hang on to it. So that's why they're coming to us at their worst day. Like somebody will say, I'm going to lose my truck tomorrow. Now, if you'd have come into me last year, we could have talked about, I shouldn't even pay that now, honey.
But I had pride that I had to work through.
I know, it's in my,
I mean, because we're all told that we should be able to do these things. And so there is a sense of pride when you are doing it, and you'll do it longer than you should.
Right. And so the other thing that happens when you get stressed out about stuff like this, you tend to think in a circle. And you ever lay in bed and have that, I call it a record player that plays.
Yes.
And you don't like any of the choices.
No, but it's a greatest hits album. So you gotta listen
and it's
to it
the
all.
same ones every night. It's the same dreariness every night. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. And I always tell people, if that starts, just call us. Okay? Just call us.
Really? So I'm sitting the night, I'm not sleeping because I'm thinking about all my bad choices. Like, hey, Cheryl, you remember that one time? Can you help me out here?
Well, I'm just saying, I may not be able to answer because sometimes I don't have an answer. Sometimes we don't. And that's important too. That's just as important to us too, because the data that you're talking about, the reports that we put out, we use that information to create new services, to identify gaps in our services. So we want to we document when we talk to you, what did you ask for? What do you need? What can't we get you? What we don't have enough of? And then when we go throughout the community and we say, look at this report. I had to turn away 6 people for this, and I have a church come to me and says, I really want to help, but I don't know what to do. I have a data that says there's these 8 people a year that this happens to. Can you help them? And I can start chipping away at what we can't. So we want to hear it, even if we can't. We're putting it on there. But the other thing is, you will sleep better, even if I don't have an answer. I guarantee it, because the record player will have to stop.
Right.
You will get professional confirmation of all your choices. We don't tell people what to do. But here's what we know of all your choices. And then you can make one of those choices or not. I mean, it's still up to you. We're not going to sign you up for things or make you do things. Our job is just to have information and referral. We have a ton of information. We can tell you how that works. We can also advocate for you. So let's say I applied for this so many months ago. I don't know what's happening. They told me I did everything I was supposed to do. Well, guess what? We'll pick up that phone. We're going to call and say, so what's the problem? And we put those 2 conversations together and usually solve the problem. It's usually a miscommunication. He thinks he got it all. She thinks she's waiting for one thing,
Gotcha.
but they just don't connect. They don't understand they need to connect. She thinks she communicated well. That's just life.
Sometimes that's really important to have, is just a person outside of the situation who can see both sides and can find that common ground. And, when we were talking about you can call me in the middle of the night because you got the record player running, that kind of touches on another service that I didn't realize the information referral provides, and that is you are actually trained in some social services so that you can get people to immediate crisis care they need, like the domestic violence shelter and to the police, and as I understand it, even suicide prevention.
Right, but we are not the best choice. We are trained.
But you're there.
We're there, and we're not 24/7, so that's important. I mean,
Gotcha.
always, if it's an urgent emergency and somebody's going to get hurt or somebody's in danger or you even think they're in danger, call the police. Okay, if you have an active domestic violence thing, and they'll call us, and we know how to handle that, and we can transfer and get them there. But if you're actively in that situation, call the police.
Right. You're not a replacement.
Right. We're just here. So like after the fact, the next day you can call us and we can go over all your choices, where you can go, where to find these things, or where not to. I think that's just as important because I'll worry. Am I missing something? Is there something I don't know? That's what I'm saying. We can confirm so your choices are solid. You've thought about them all. You've considered them for you. And it's not just people that need something. We get crazy calls. I've had a woman call, she was older, and she lived out in the country, and she called and she said, well, last night I put a rabid raccoon in my barn. What do I do now? I'm like, you did? I was like, what? So we can get a call like that. Or a woman was selling her house. Okay, I mean, it can be anything. Don't overthink this, people. Where do I go vote? Where's the voting center? It doesn't have to be a crisis or a problem. You just don't know the information. Right. So, and you can call us about voting and where to go vote and how you register to vote. I mean, you can do all of that.
Sure.
Where's the bus go? Where's the, I just need to get from here to there. Is there a map? There's an app. Thank you. Okay. We can just fill in all those little gaps. But another one that happened to a woman called, she says, I'm trying to sell my house and there's an empty lot behind my house. And it never fails that when I have a showing scheduled, somebody will throw a mattress back there, and I don't know who to call to come and get it.
Oh, I do.
So you see what I'm saying? It's just regular life problems.
Right.
Or it's a situation that you get in that, or like, let's say terrible, have a fire or something happens to your house. That's a tragedy. It doesn't have to be a whole community. People don't have insurance. They don't know to call. They have insurance that doesn't react right away. You know what I mean? So we have to employ some community things for them. And I think that's another thing that people forget. If we had we've seen it before, but to remind people, if we have a community-wide disaster, guess what number you're going to call for everything?
Right, well.
457-HELP. You're going to call us. We are the dispatch for anything non-emergency during an emergency. So we'll dispatch you if you want to volunteer. We'll dispatch you if you need something, if you want to donate something. So we don't have to tell the community over and over, call here for this, call here for that. We have the ability to dispatch and kind of stand there in the middle so that we can gather that and then people can do the work.
So if you're wondering what United Way does, this is front and center the most important thing, I think, that United Way does through information referral. And for years, you were affiliated with the 211 system, which is a statewide information and referral, but we are not affiliated any longer for a good reason.
Right. So what happened with that, we were a provider of 211. There was a series of 211 providers, centers like us throughout the state. It became a statewide service, and so in order to be a provider, we had to go statewide because they connected it all, right? We'd same database, same everything. And so when we got to looking at it, it wasn't a bad service or anything, but we have donors that say, we want you to help in Howard and Tipton, and it just started getting catawampus to where we were serving more people out. We didn't have any control of where the call came from.
Sure.
Okay? So when I did the data, I'm like, oh my gosh, over 60% of our calls aren't even from Kokomo. Because the call will just go to whoever's not on the phone.
Gotcha.
So that was the biggest reason that we got out of that. So people can call 211. Nothing wrong with calling 211. So they're what we call a comprehensive service. Like, I want to tell everybody the general about everything. So we got out of that business, and now we're what we call a specialized information referral. And so we focus solely on resources and information for Howard and Tipton counties. So we can get more in depth. We live here. So I know people, we know the ins and outs. We know when the road's closed. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Sure.
Or they're not going to open till 10 o'clock.
More
Today.
responsive at a local hyper-focused level.
Exactly. So we're going to have that more detail. We're going to have that personal experience. I know what it's like to go to family services. I know what it looks like at domestic violence in Jackson Street Commons. And so if you have those kind of questions, I can say, well, this is how they do that. And Angie's there and she's great, So it's just a little closer connection.
Sure.
Not right, not wrong, just closer connection.
So looking at the needs that you've been able to glean from all these calls, thousands of calls every year, housing's at the top, and it's quite a bit higher than everything else. But where are other needs, and have we been able to identify gaps that we need to fill?
We always do. And again, the gap is going to be, we have assistance for housing, but your rent's $600 and the only available amount we can help you with is $200.
Oh my.
Do you see what I mean? That'll
Sure.
create, that's like one of the biggest gaps. It's like the need is too great for the community to be able to do it all. And that'll create a gap. We've done a really good job. Off the top of my head, I can't think of what the number one would be, because transportation was always number one. United Way advocated for a community-wide transportation system for 40 years before we got the trolley.
And it's not community-wide.
It's this data that proved it. People said, oh, we're a car town. We don't need transportation. Mm-hmm. And so it wasn't until we start providing this data and saying, okay, we see this lady walking, but did you know 14 of them called us last week? And so when you can bring that to the table and you can say, I know you think it's out there, but I'm telling you, here's a gap report. I got 15 calls. They can't make it to school at Ivy Tech. They can't make it to the grocery store. They can't. You start documenting that, and then eventually, and then opportunities come, and it works together. It just took us that long. So transportation was always in the top two. I mean, I've been there 30 years until just the last 5 years.
And then it's way down the list.
It's way down here. Looks like about number 10. And that's because then we were able to, after we got the big general transportation kind of taken care of, right? Now we can start looking at the county. Mm-hmm. We can start looking at the fringes. We can start looking at medical transportation. Where are the gaps now?
Right.
So we identified that gaps were in medical transportation. And then there was also, for a long time, we didn't have a taxi that could
True.
take somebody with a wheelchair.
Yes.
I had people from Tipton call me. I mean, even in Tipton, how do I get my mom to? So we do that. Now that's it still happens now and then, but at the same time, we're aware of it and we're chipping away at it. We partnered with CAM, and we're not about creating programs either. We identify that, we take it to community. It's our responsibility to communicate, to let you know about your community so the community can solve that problem.
Right.
So we're not like out there recreating things. So we're extending them and making them better. So that's why we partnered with CAM, and now they have the medical and evening transportation, which fills that gap for people trying to go to work and do
Right.
things when the trolley's not running.
And it's used pretty heavily.
Yeah. So that's what I like about it, is because we can keep things going in the right. We're not just stabbing at things.
Right.
We know where to put our time and where to put our energy, and get people connected.
So really, INR is the pulse of the community when it comes to its nonprofit needs.
Exactly. We also use this data. The city will call me and say, we've got this grant we want to apply for. Do we need it? Because you've got to back that up. So they'll say, yeah, we. So they were using our transportation data for to get grants and to get things happen. So the things that we do, nobody else is doing. So if we went away tomorrow, then yeah, you could find it. But guess what? I'm told that if you don't know what you're looking for, and you're going to agree with me 100%, because we've all been there. I don't know who to call. I don't know where the information is. 7 calls. It will take you. 7 people will talk to you for 10 minutes and not get you the answer. See what a waste it is in the community? All the receptionists you talk to, all the people that answer the phones, you're taking time away from what they should be doing. So it's kind of an economic issue, too, underneath that you don't see. A lot of money is being spent by entities like that.
That just didn't expect that call.
Yeah, I take our cards to the bank. Because they have relationships with their people,
Sure.
They hear their stories, and have you ever talked to somebody and that story's went way over your head, oh geez, I'm sorry I empathize that much.
Yeah.
Because now they're telling you everything, and I feel useless. I don't know where to
now
send
you feel
them.
like you need the help because you asked.
Yeah, I'm with you. Where do we ask?
Exactly.
I don't know.
All right, I'm going to find that answer for you, and I'm going to call information referral first.
Yeah, or have them call. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's all you need to tell. And that's what I tell people at the bank, people at the schools, at Ivy Tech and everything. Instead of developing your own system, your own database, so we're also a professional service. All the case managers. When I was a case manager, I had a desk full of little flyers that I'd have to go, I know I got something here. Hold on,
Right.
And I say, don't do that because it changes.
Sure.
Our database, when we're actively changing things, can be up to 40 little things a week.
Oh, wow.
So that's why you don't see us producing books anymore. That's why we don't have a lot of lists. But we do have them. Like if you come into our office, like here's clothing pantries, things that people ask us for. These are the popular things. We have clothing and hygiene pantries, maternity needs. This is a list of housing resources that we have. We give these out by the hundreds. Here's the food pantry list.
This is all available online as well.
Yes. So if you go to our website, to resource page, you can click on it and get those.
That's
yourself.
Howard County, or was it, what's the Howard and
Tipton County UnitedWay.org.
Really long, yeah.
But it's obvious.
Yes.
I have to think of it still too. So it's Howard and Tipton UnitedWay.org.
Yeah. So that's, if you need to see those resources quick, you can log on there. If you need it even quicker, you just call 765-457-4357 or help, and as long as it's within 8 to 4 Monday through Friday.
Well, yeah, 8 to 4.
Then you're going to get a live voice as opposed to a voicemail, which for years was
because of COVID, we weren't there.
Right, exactly. So, but now that we're past that dark time, you can actually talk to a live person and get connected with the resources that you need. So, if I'm the average person out here, but I don't need the information referral today, but I see that it's a great program, how do I make sure that it keeps going?
Well, like I said, you can keep one of those cards in your wallet. Okay, so if you're one of those people that tell you things like, "Oh gosh, here, just call here," they can donate to United Way, and it's all based on donations. The fact that we're there, and we tell people that all the time, like thanks to our donors for making us available to be able to do this. The other thing I want to say too is we don't give money to people.
Oh, okay.
Okay, we don't. There's not enough money. I mean, yeah, we get $2 million, but all the medical needs in Howard County are $30 million.
Right.
So we're just a little tiny piece of the pie. So we work together and cooperate with other agencies to get more value through partnerships and to employ the money that we have comes from donors that say, I don't want to be the front door.
Right.
I trust United Way. I like their processes. Here's what I want you to do with this, and just send me the bill. So we're not giving out any money from United Way donors to do these things. These are people in the community that use us as a tool to distribute financial funds to the places that they owe them to. We never give, because we get that a lot. I've been giving to United Way for 50 years. I'm ready to cash in.
Oh my.
You see what I'm saying? I got a problem now. I need to cash in on my donations. I'm like, oh, it doesn't quite work that way. Yeah, we're not a bank.
No, this is a savings bond. Or a retirement plan.
I'm glad you remembered us. I'm glad you called, because now we're going to talk about your problem, but I don't have money to give you. Yeah, it doesn't. I think that people overthink it. They think it's for somebody else. If you're just got that loop going in your head, don't overthink it. Just call. And we'll either figure it out or we'll both not know it, and we'll find out.
Sure. So is there anything else that people need to know about the service that we haven't hit on?
I think Mission United, I do want to make it known that we specialize in service members and have connections with all of the service providers for veterans. And it's not just veterans. I want to make that really clear too. It's people that have served. We don't care where you served,
Gotcha.
how you served, if they liked you when you left, if they didn't like you when they left. We're just here understanding your situation, understanding your world a little more than the regular guy, and know the people that can help you. So again, we've specialized in that. We have that. We've specialized in homeless needs in that. We even were part of a partnership, I think it was 2 years ago now. We were the first county in the United States to have no homeless vets.
Oh, wow.
So that was huge. I mean, we were very proud of that. And so it's because of those partnerships and that focus that happens.
So if you need any other reason, I don't know what would be. Information referral is a vital service to this community. If there's nothing else about United Way that you like, and you should like a lot of things about United Way, this alone should be deserving of your time and your donation. So again, I want to thank Cheryl for being on and explaining this to everyone and how it works. And I want to invite you all to get in contact with them and see how you can help, or come and get some help yourself if you are one of these people that we've just described. If that scenario struck you,
got mattresses in your back lot, you need to call us.
Right, yeah. I mean, I'm needing a mattress right now anyway. Just I'll drive by.
We'll put the two together.
Right.
I'll get you a mattress.
Your bed bugs and the wall. Yeah, I'm fine with that, right? Yeah, no. So I don't want that level of information referral, thanks. But for everything else, please be sure to give them a call at 765-457-4357 and see how they can connect you with a needed service, or you can help them. And we'll all be better for it. So again, Cheryl Graham for United Way, thank you for your time. This has been The Lamp from the Kokomo Lantern. I'm Pat Munsey, and please be good this week.